Welcome back to another It's Tadpole MMA prediction video. This weekend we've got Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland in the main event, a late minute replacement for Dern. Kevin Holland stepping up on short notice. We'll get around to that fight later though. Starting us off at the bottom of the verdict card, we've got Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. Mike Perry, the favourite on verdict 1.58 times, but $2.47 at the bookies. Daniel Rodriguez 2.72 times and $1.50 at the bookies. Now, where's Mike Perry at? Who knows? His extracurricular behaviour is not ideal. He's a lunatic. You probably can't trust his preparation, but no news is good news, and we haven't heard shit about Mike Perry for quite a while. As for their actual fighting skill sets, Daniel Rodriguez is the better striker. He's probably a little bit faster. He definitely throws with the tighter angles. He's also probably he is the better submission grappler. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good strongman chokes. But Mike Perry, you can never count him out. He does have good power. He initiates the brawl, and honestly, Daniel Rodriguez is really prone to getting caught up in that. And Mike would capitalize if that opportunity arose, Because Daniel Rodriguez, his striking defense isn't great. His chin is up and out. It's always there to be hit. Dwight Grant cracked him. Was pretty much out on his feet. Chris Tione, I think the referee was in that bout, and just gave him every opportunity. And then he rallied back to finish Dwight himself, which did show heart, but it also showed me that he can get cracked. D-Rod, he's coming off of a loss. I do think he won that fight. I like him as a fighter. I think he's exciting. He hits hard. He's got really pretty striking. And he does throw with a lot of volume. But the unorthodox nature of Mike Perry, I also like that here against such a volatile opponent because, Rodriguez is good, but he isn't as good as the guys Mike's been fighting, aside from Mickey Gall. And, stylistically, I think this actually plays to Perry. I think he can get inside. I think he can get under D-Rod's skin, bring out that wild side that's just so innate to Rodriguez, I think Daniel definitely has the clearer path to victory, If he stays disciplined, keeps Mike on the end of the jab, Mike's going to have a really hard time. But, Rodriguez won't do that. He will want to flatline Perry. These guys are so similar mentally. And that's a problem. That's going to be a problem for Rodriguez. Another layer to this is I also like what we've seen from Mike Perry's wrestling game. It was really strong against Mickey Gall. It was less strong against Tim Means, but he still tried to enforce it. There's a change in his fight behaviour. And I think he can also go to that here. Rodriguez is better on the mat. I've already touched on that. He has the better jiu-jitsu, but Mike's a really strong clinch guy and a heavy presence on top. And, alright, Mike Perry, he ebbs and flows, and I'm trying to catch him on a flow here. So I'm taking him via a second round knockout at 2.96 times. And Mike Perry on the money line is my first bet of the evening. As per the formula, the data for verdict favourites winning when they are underdogs at the bookies isn't favourable. But prior to all the statistics, I actually didn't mind Mike Perry going into this matchup. And when you just look at the odds at face value, the break-even price for a moderate verdict favourite is $1.76, which is a conservative estimate anyway. Now the best price we can get for Mike Perry is $2.47 on Sportsbet, which is a 40% perceived edge. And that's big enough for me to have a go at a guy I already liked prior to the statistics spitting that one out at me. So Mike Perry on the money line. Moving on, Nina Ansaroff versus Mackenzie Dern. Nina Ansaroff 4.89 times. Big verdict dog, but $1.72 at the bookies. Mackenzie Dern coming back 1.26 times, but $2.10. I'm intrigued whether Bruce Buffer's going to announce Nina as Nina Ansaroff or Nina Nunez. But this is actually a great fight aside from the announcements of their names. Nina, I don't know, I'm just going to call her Nina because I don't want to disrespect her. with a wrong surname. Nina is the better striker, That's obvious. She's got better movement, better footwork, better defense. Dern is improving. She's improving a lot with Jason Perillo because her striking wasn't shit a few years ago. She's really worked on her angles, her fundamentals. She's got a nice jab. She really sticks it out there regularly, hard and fast. And Mackenzie Dern's pressure, which is what will win her this fight. She counters her poorer defense and her poorer movement with just getting in her opponent's face and making it really uncomfortable. And she does land heavy shots when she throws because she is a heavy-handed girl. She's a big girl. She's a big strawweight. Both of these girls are big strawweights. Ultimately, Mackenzie Dern wants this on the mat because once there, she has the confidence that she can finish anybody in the world, essentially. Nina's a great wrestler, and her jiu-jitsu is honestly pretty good as well, but it is a gap. There is a gap. Mackenzie Dern is the better submission grappler, obviously. And, there's a lot of question marks here with Nina's layoff, comeback from pregnancy. I feel like that rust is a real factor, and the gaps in the striking department are being closed between these two fighters with every fight we see from Mackenzie, where the gaps on the ground are just bigger, People have been saying, and people will say, that Nina defended Tatiana Suarez's wrestling attempts really well, who is, an Olympic wrestler, a really well-credentialed wrestler, and obviously a better grappler, a better pure wrestler than Mackenzie Dern. And, I would say that is true to an extent, but Nina still got ragdolled in the first 2 rounds of that fight. Conceded 4.5 minutes and 3.5 minutes of control time in the first and second rounds, respectively. And it was only really when the cardio took effect that Nina was managing to peel Tatiana off her in that third round and get the better of her, In this fight, Mackenzie has pretty solid conditioning. Nina still has an advantage there, but I don't predict it to be that much of a factor. And, her methods to get it to the ground, her throws, her trips, her high body locks, I think she is crafty enough to get this fight to the floor, regardless of how good Nina's takedown defense may be. And once it's there, I think she's going to be able to sub her, The layoff is speaking to me. The reasons for the layoff, people coming back from pregnancy, doesn't always pan out. We saw that with Mackenzie Dern herself, fighting Amanda Hebus after her pregnancy layoff, and she got pieced the fuck up. It's going to be Mackenzie Dern, a first round submission at 1.95 times. That's the play. If it plays out in this manner, a quick finish, it's going to be disappointing for Nina, because she is a great fighter and she's fought some great girls, and she has the female GOAT in her corner and in her home. But Mackenzie's got the youth, she's had the recency, she's been in the cage, and for someone who's less experienced than Nina, she has not had it easy coming up in the strawweight division. Strawweight division is by far the premier division of the women's weight classes, and she has faced plenty of tests and battled adversity already. So that's it. This is my second bet of the night, just quietly. Mackenzie Dern on the money line. As per the formula, since calculating data, a verdict favourite under 1.3 times who is priced at even or plus money, like Mackenzie Dern is, has never lost. Never. So I'm going to back the public here. The best price is $2.15 over on Ladbrokes, and I am going to ride with that. Next fight along, Julian Marquez versus Sam Alvey. Julian Marquez 1.38 times and $1.48. Sam Alvey 3.61 times and $2.54. First fight of the verdict main card that is actually the odds are representative on either side, verdict and the bookies. So, and I think they've got it right, because I'm going to be having Julian Marquez by knockout, please. He's got the power. He's got the technique. Both of these fighters' cardio is shithouse. But Marquez is always going to fight for your money. And he's always going to fight for a finish. And he showed us that against Maki Pitolo. The conditioning, it waned and it failed on him going late. But he always chased the finish, and he threw with reckless abandon. And as sloppy as it might have looked, it was still happening for us, because we had Julian Marquez by submission in that fight. And I screamed the house down when that went our way. Anywho, this is Sam Alvey's first fight at 185 for 4 years. And he has been getting fucked up at 205 pounds, making the cut to 185. I don't predict it to be that hard. On the scale, he looked okay this morning, because he was a flobby 205er. He had a little bit of extra around the hips. So a bit more stringent strength and conditioning, a bit more stringent on the diet, and I imagine that weight cut wouldn't have been too bad. But coming down in the weights, it's still gonna hurt his durability and hurt his conditioning marginally for the fat boy. And I don't think that's good against Julian Marquez, who hits like a fucking truck. You know, Marquez had that long layoff, but he's had a fight since now. He's cleared the cobwebs. And that fight was a real test. You know, he got 14 good minutes under his belt, and a fight he was losing before turning the tables and getting the dub. Oh, Jesus, bless me. Sam Alvey does have notorious power, apparently. Could he sleep Julian Marquez? He could for sure. But Julian's chin is solid, and his head is fucking massive. It's like a bowling ball. He's a liability. He does get tagged, and he does get sloppy as the fight goes on, but so does Sam Alvey. And I don't think it's going to go that long. Oh, fucking jeez, I'm about to sneeze again. Can't. Alright. Let's get this one over and done with. Julian Marquez and Sam Alvey's giving me allergies. Julian Marquez first round knockout 2.67 times. If this lasts longer than a round, it's going to get seriously gross. So please, Julian, appease the tadpole gods. Co-main event, Arnold Allen versus Tariq Yusuff. 2.36 times and $2.20 on Arnold Allen's side. 1.73 times and $1.64 over there for Super Tariq. This was the toughest fight of the card to pick, in my opinion. Both of these guys are amazing strikers. Both are very fast. Tariq perhaps just marginally edges it out with hand speed. And, you know, again, Tariq would have to edge the power. Arnold probably kicks more and hits guys on the end of his shots more. Tariq really, he can wing his shots a little bit, but when he hits you, you'll know. As for Arnold's game, he does, like I mentioned, kick more. He throws the front kick up the top, or up the middle rather, and he also will roundhouse to the head. Both guys very technical, but I do really, really like Arnold Allen's movement. He is way more elusive, and he's got much better movement, much better footwork than Tariq, in my opinion. And, you know, that is represented in his defensive numbers. He manages range incredibly well, and like I said, hits guys on the end of his shots, which, again, a great way to manage distance. His jab is solid. And that's the difference in this fight for mine. These guys are so close, so closely matched. But Arnold is going to be able to outmove and outmaneuver Tariq, who, you know, I've already mentioned, does fall into his shots. Sometimes does look to rush at times. Arnold is very disciplined and he fights incredibly smart. I think he can draw those attacks out of Yusuff and punish him for it, you know, on the counter. Because Tariq will want to land that power shot, you know. As for the grappling shots, Yusuff has also shown us very capable wrestling, but the grappling does also go to Arnold Allen. You know, he shoots and he hits. His takedown completion rate is incredibly impressive. It's above 50%. So yeah, Tariq may be able to defend a few of these takedowns, but Allen has that skill that he can lean on, especially if things get dicey on the feet, because there is every chance that Tariq cracks him. And Arnold Allen landing a desperation takedown is definitely on the cards. But him implementing a wrestling heavy game plan is also kind of on the cards here, as he is going to have the advantage down there. He is crafty with the takedown, strong in the clinch. Both guys are big boys. I don't know who the strength is actually going to go to when they get in close. I'm incredibly intrigued to see how that plays out. And I am just super excited for this one. It means a lot. These guys have been really hyped up over the last 2-3 years for the featherweight division, and the winner will catch themselves a big fight. But it's going to be Arnold Allen for mine via a decision at 3.24 times. I've got a feeling that the movement and the precision of Arnold is going to outpoint the power of Sadiq as long as he remains disciplined. And then, the potential of the grappling gap to be exposed as well. I like Arnold Allen as an underdog shot. And it is another bet. It is the closest of the moneyline bets I have on this main card. But the data that I have accumulated on these light verdict faves is solid. This is a great fight. It's a close fight. It could seriously go either way. So catching Arnold Allen as an underdog is a great shot. The best price I could find is $2.20 on Arnold Allen over on Sportsbet. That is a 29% perceived edge, which is definitely enough to have a go at if you guys are chasing. Moving on. Main event, Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. Marvin Vettori 1.56 times and $1.28. Kevin Holland 2.78 times and $3.45. This is the type of fight that Kevin Holland wins, and it's why people loved him prior to the Derek Brunson performance. Kevin Holland, he's not as good as Israel Adesanya. Nowhere near as good as Israel Adesanya, but he strikes and he moves quite similarly to Izzy, and the last person to beat Marvin was in fact Izzy. That rangy outside style with the kicks and the speed troubled Marvin a lot. He struggled to get inside and find his rhythm and find his shots. And Kevin's incredibly good. He is. I have to pay him that. He's well-rounded. He's dangerous everywhere. He's evidently got good cardio, and he does have the ability to finish a fight whenever and wherever it goes. The thing that we hate about Kevin Holland is his motivation to win, or lack thereof, and in-fight decision-making, which is horrendous. And he's never a safe play. Never. But at these odds, God, it makes you want to have a go. Marvin Vettori is technically better everywhere. Actually, maybe not. Holland's striking and angles and movement on the feet is actually better. It is. Marvin is more of a brute force on the feet who muscles his way inside. He's still very good, and his head movement's solid, gets off the center line, and he has good defense. Better defense, striking defense than Kevin. Kevin's definitely prettier. That's the way he goes about it. Where Marvin is definitely better is in the grappling. He's really strong in the clinch, really strong takedowns, and very dominant from top position. And he's got very handy submissions as well. 9 career wins via that method. And Derek Brunson laid out that blueprint. Take Kevin down and shut him up. Smother him. Just wear on him. And give him no opportunities to land a big shot. Because when they were on the feet, Kevin Holland almost slept Derek Brunson in that third round. He has that ability. As for that blueprint though, as for what Brunson did to him and what Vettori surely plans to do, I can't see Kevin laying down and taking it for the second time in a row. He's too mentally insane. He's too wild for that. He's had a taste of the 5 rounds now. He said in post-fight interviews that he was, more conservative with that last fight being over 25 minutes, because he wasn't sure how he was going to fare in the 4th and 5th round. But he mentioned that in the 4th and 5th he felt fine, and he really could have been more aggressive and thrown more volume and been more wild trying to stand up and defend takedowns. So now he knows. And I think he lets Marvin have it. I think he talks to him a bunch like he always does, and Marvin is the type of fucking hothead / meathead to let it get under his skin and make a critical error. And Kevin Holland is going to starch him. That's it. Kevin Holland via a second round knockout at 4.03 times. And it's a bet as well. The last person I want to bet is Kevin Holland. He showed us that against Derek Brunson. He's not safe. He won't fight for your money. He will quit or just be a passenger. But the margin on this market, once I framed it, is too much to not have a stab at. And if I'm being completely honest with you, the unorthodox nature of Kevin Holland, he could do anything. He could be anything. Him getting a win here is, like I aforementioned at the top of this breakdown, the reason why so many people love him. You can't predict his shit. And sitting currently as a high, moderate verdict underdog, the break-even price is $2.31, and he is $3.50 on Bet365, which is a 49% perceived edge, and that's going to round out our single plays of the night. Hopefully it's a good night. All right, let's have a little recap of the single plays. I kind of spat them out as we went through, which is a little different to usual. But we took Mike Perry at $2.47 on Sportsbet. We took Mackenzie Dern, $2.15 on Ladbrokes. Arnold Allen, $2.20 on Sportsbet. And then rounded out with Kevin Holland, $3.50 on Bet365. And, as we do every week, couldn't let you guys miss out. We're also hitting a juicy multi, aiming for 20-1 odds. This week we've got the Marquez Alvey fight to finish by knockout. The reason I've done that is because Julian Marquez was quite short, about $2.80 to win by knockout on his own. Although I do rate his durability and his fucking, I don't know what to call his head. It's massive. I'll come up with a name and hit you with it next week. But Sam Alvey, like I said, Notorious Power could potentially win this fight by knockout himself, so there's a little bit of coverage for only 90 cents less. We've also got Arnold Allen on the money line, which will be a sweater because Sadiq Yusuff is an incredible fighter, and I know lots of people are on him. But I like the edge I saw in the Arnold Allen fight. I think he has more routes to victory. I think he is better rounded than Sadiq Yusuff, and he always comes to play. So I think he will also fight for our money. And then to round it out, we've got Holland by knockout or submission at $19.47 on Ladbrokes. I feel like Holland is going to struggle to win a decision here, so I didn't mind taking just the coverage on a finish. I think on the feet he is a live chance to win by knockout, but I also wanted the coverage on the submission. Marvin Vettori is very wise, very strong on top, probably won't offer too much space, but if he does enforce a wrestling heavy game plan, I wanted some skin on the Holland submission off of his back, because he is every chance to throw up something ridiculous and submit Marvin Vettori. And if this 25-minute fight spends 10 minutes plus on the mat, I want a little bit of a little bit of coverage on Kevin Holland. Okay. That's it, guys. Thanks for sticking around. A little bit all over the shop today, but and it's very late. It's very late in the week, so come get your late fight week rituals with the tadpole. All the socials, all the records down in the description. Make sure you tune in there. Follow me on Verdict. You can see how I'm scoring come fight night. And aside from that, I'll talk to you next week, hopefully, for next week's fight card. Don't even know what it is at this stage. My head is like I said, all over the place. But yeah, cheers guys, and catch up.